How's everybody doing today? My name is Master Zero, and welcome back to another reaction video. This time we're reacting to Don't Hex the Water by Exherbia. Alright, so I'm really excited to get back into Exherbia stuff, man, because there's something special, man. They really are, because it's like, I don't know, a lot of people call them like existential dread turtle or like depression turtle or something, you know, like everybody has a certain name for him. And for me, it's existential dread turtle, you know, because like he keeps talking about stuff that like I normally wouldn't really worry about too much. And like even the video, like the video title, the video description, like none of it actually like coherently tells you what the video is actually going to be about, you know. So that's another piece of the puzzle of the video that I really I just love the channel in general. And like seeing the videos and stuff, like how they have like just that weird left turn like out of nowhere. And this, I'm assuming it has to do with wizards or something, because like that's the only way. Hex, you know, like unless like witchcraft or something, I don't know. So without any further ado, here is Don't Hex the Water.
On the mountain is the eternal city of Antiri, the
Hey,
place where
we're
there
going
are no
hard,
secrets.
okay.
And while the citizens do
No
not smile so
secrets.
much, they hardly frown either.
Oh,
Jewels and objects of
win
great
some, you
worth
lose some,
lie
you
in
know.
the streets,
They're just
for
neutral.
There is no theft where there are no secrets, and there
Oh.
are no secrets in Antiri. Long ago, during the War of Magical Technology,
Whoa,
the
that's
city
pretty.
sheltered a great wizard.
Is that a
And in
phoenix?
return for the city's kindness,
I was right.
the wizard enchanted
Phoenix.
the water
I mean,
of Antiri,
wizard.
such that one need only stare into the reflection of a puddle or wash basin and ask after a person or place one should like to see, and be
Wow.
shown that thing in its entirety.
I really
It's not
love
spying.
this. This is
Spying
beautiful.
is an exclusive activity, and since anyone can watch anyone, this is simply how the Antirans live. They have no word for secrecy. Life was turbulent at first.
Oh,
The
so
whispered
everyone's just
flights of the
open.
bathhouse,
I got
the
you.
swindles of the marketplace suddenly watchable.
That's why there's
for
no
all,
secrets.
Plus, crime rings and crooked politicians could be listened in on at a moment's notice. Illicit love affairs observed by anyone sufficiently voyeuristic.
It's just
But the adjustment
morning.
was made. Recent generations
Don't mind
have
me.
grown up with no concept of concealment and do not seem to suffer for it. Everything is visible in the water. Even the most mundane
Hey,
acts, the
said
brushing
some
of
of the
one's
title.
teeth, the brewing of one's tea, is performed with attention and flair, for anyone and everyone may be watching. There is nothing hidden. Every eye is all-seeing and all seen.
But they know that they're being
Antiri's
watched, though.
transparency is not for everyone. And for those who cannot bear such a way of life,
Yeah, I don't
far
know.
below,
No, thank
by
you.
the ocean, swaddled always in fog, is the eternal city of Tynegrad, the place
Yeah!
where there are
That's where I
only
wanna go.
secrets. The citizens
Oh, maybe
don't
not.
frown so much, but they hardly smile either. Possessions are many,
Again,
and
you win
doors
some, you
are
lose some.
unlocked, since there is no desire unfulfilled in Tynegrad, and there is no theft where there is no desire
Oh man, the
unfulfilled.
musical
For it
cues.
was here, long ago, the Great Wizard first went for shelter and was refused. And to thank the people of
refused?
Tynegrad for their apathy, he returned at the conclusion of the war and enchanted the water here too.
Love
the wet
this, man.
fog that permeates every street and house, the snow that thaws come spring. Though while the water in Tynegrad sees all, citizens have no access to its omniscient visions. There is only one watcher. Out of the bedrooms
watcher?
where glasses on nightstands listen of those mumbled untold secrets the Tynegradians admit in their sleep. Down the cobbled stones where the puddles watch of land disputes and unrequited
Don't hex
love.
the
To
water.
the harbour where the ocean silently records of overpriced fish and drunken bar brawls. Out into the bay where there
Kraken?
resides a great kraken who watches.
Okay.
The kraken
I was
never
joking.
sleeps, never falters, its mind unjudging as a seismograph. And the kraken is very hungry, and its favourite meal
that looks
is
like a butterfly
secrets,
or a
as
moth.
delivered by the water to its unblinking eyes. The secrets of Tynegrad, each impulse and desire of each citizen, such
This
that
is
they
getting
may be met
insane,
if
man.
favourable to the market,
It was
or
already there.
suppressed if not, such that at the slightest hint of eccentricity, citizens may be placed under heightened surveillance, such that none need ever fear or want. And in return for this miracle of constant safety and satisfaction,
Is it
all
a
the Kraken
miracle?
requires is a
Kinda
little
seems like a
knowledge,
curse at
and
this
all
point.
it wants to know is everything. Give
Oh,
me your
that's
tired
it?
thoughts,
Just
your poor
everything.
decisions, your huddled missives yearning to be free. Who
Literally
have you been
everything.
going to bed with? Who would you like to go to
give
bed
him
with?
Wikipedia.
Thinking of starting a family? Thinking of cutting off your family? Preferred
No.
brand of breakfast cereal? Least favourite season? What does
Cinnamon
home
Toast
mean
Crunch?
to you? And if the miracle should falter for a second, and a citizen might catch sight of a great hungry eye peering from the water, and cry out, "These are secrets, my secrets,
Oh.
and my secrets are all
Linkin
I
Park.
have," the Kraken only replies, "You ungrateful little insect, for what pretty things I have sold you, what peacetimes I have delivered you, what love I have shown you, what
What? Kind of cut off there.
is privacy for? How do we resist the increasingly aggressive attempts to remove it from us? And is this video sponsored by an easy-to-use and
That's how
reliable
you do a
VPN?
freaking segue, my man.
Fuck no, it is not.
Oh.
If you don't live alone but get the chance to sometime, I would recommend it because you can
There's the
constantly
laughs.
junk food
Alright.
without shame, become entirely nocturnal, and discover
Maybe.
the true meaning
You don't
of
know me.
independent living.
I have a mystery schedule.
Yeah, where's
Oh,
your toilet regime now, Mum?
But living alone is a pretty recent phenomenon. Just
Oh my
sleeping alone is a
God,
pretty
man.
recent phenomenon, even for the
Might not be the
historically
first thing
rich.
I did when I
Privacy
left.
is an invention. We made that shit up. But how do we get here?
So is
well, for
time,
the first
right?
few 100,000 years of our time on this watery spaceship,
booga.
it is unlikely there were many loners. For hunter-gatherers, going it alone probably meant death, because strength in numbers was about the only trick that kept us alive. We were
Yes.
social by necessity, and we didn't do walls yet, so other than the confines of your own mind, how could you have privacy in that
Yeah, everybody's
social
just in the same
configuration?
cave.
What was the mostest game-changing human invention?
Mostest.
Fire, the transistor, all
Wheel?
pretty rad, yes. But the wall is going to be
Princess.
up there in the top 5 at least. We've
Huh.
been doing walls for
You don't
about
really think about that,
23,000
you know?
years now.
Would you
The
actually
oldest
sit
one
there
we
and think
found
about
being
it?
in Greece, of course it's Greece, it's always Greece. And not only do walls
Greece is
signify
always Greece.
property, and property is a pretty weird idea if you've never heard of it before. First person to get the land gets the land forever. Why? But
Why?
it also means security, means
was literally gonna
castles,
ask
means
that.
established power structures, and it's only so
Okay,
long
it's
before
just the
walls
name.
start to
Like,
mean
your name
privacy.
means something
And
for
that was
some
more or
reason.
less codified for the first
I don't
time
get
we
it.
know of by the Greeks, because it's always the Greeks, isn't it? And the distinction between
Always the
polis
Greeks.
and the oikos. The polis
Oikos.
being public life,
I don't know what I
politics,
said.
shit you did outside really, and the oikos, your house, your family life, shit you did inside really. But
Oh,
even
okay.
then, in most Greek tragedies, the only thing worse than getting executed was being alone, being exiled. Still,
Well,
our
that's sad.
ancestors understood privacy
Shun
of
the
mind
non-believer.
just fine, as in secrets. The Chinese managed to keep the
Gossip,
particulars of silk
gossip.
production a secret for over 1,000 years by making you dead if you blabbed to
that-
anyone. Then there was
Oh.
Greek fire, because it's always the fucking Greeks, isn't it? A flammable slime used by the
Hey.
Byzantines during battle.
That is a
Yeah, that's right,
decapitated
a
man.
7th century flamethrower. And the secret of its composition was so well kept,
Where
we
can I
still
have
don't
one?
really know what the hell it was today. Also, the
Never
legend
mind.
goes that when Genghis Khan died, his funeral escort kept his burial site a secret by murdering anyone they passed on the way there. Bit heavy-handed, but poised
Yeah?
for execution.
I love that art style.
Literally.
Quite literally. I get it.
Yeah.
You can move on.
I long to die.
Oh!
For the next ages, us Europeans at least did pretty much everything under the gaze of someone else while at home, eating, weeping, and sleeping. It's
Oh,
how
so
we built
sad.
our houses. It wasn't until the 17th century that some
I'm still
genius
not over
thought
that
to
one
invent
joke.
an entire room for the bed. The bedroom, if you will.
Oh,
but beds
no.
themselves were
You
crazy
don't say.
expensive. Most homes could only afford a single bed, shared by family and guests, which meant
Oh,
not only did you get
Charlie
to
and the
witness
Chocolate
your
Factory.
nearest and dearest sleeping, but all the other activities that might occur in a bedroom. And while
get
there
it.
wasn't really a concept
it.
of medieval
You don't have
privacy
to-
either, there were ways to obtain a little alone time,
Cross the Ts.
like pissing off the church and getting
Hey.
excommunicated. Big fun. Or cutting off heads for a living. Working as an
I mean-
executioner was so shameful you wouldn't be invited into others'
Shameful,
homes,
you say?
couldn't enter
Really?
churches, and had to live
Is
on
that
the
why you
fringes
have
of
the bag
town.
over your
if
head?
privacy is the right to be let alone, then along with monks, executioners
Well,
were
a long neck,
arguably
that's all I'm
kind
saying.
of the
Babies?
pioneers of something
Room full
beginning
of
to
babies.
sound like modern privacy. But it would take a while yet. In the early 1900s, Abigail Roberson one day noticed a photo of herself on a poster advertising flour.
Oh
She
shit,
didn't
it's
remember
flour.
endorsing any flour, so she sued the company in question for using
Hey.
her likeness without her permission.
That's how you do
she
it.
won the case. However, the defendants appealed, claiming they hadn't taken anything of worth from her, and they won the appeal. The chief judge writing, actually,
What?
she should be touched, as the ad was, quote, a compliment to her beauty. Aha. But a pleasant surprise, the public was pissed at the ruling.
Yeah.
Maximum pissed, resulting not too long after in the first instance of legislation forbidding using one's likeness without their permission. The
Okay.
beginning of modern privacy, really. Ironically, the chief judge we just mentioned, who ruled against her and said
Yeah,
she should be
NordVPN
stoked because she
sponsorship
was
would be
pretty and
amazing
shut
with
up,
this, wouldn't
would
it?
run for president in a few years, and after getting snapped constantly by photographers, waxed at great length about how it was an invasion of his privacy. Abigail Roberson reminded him in a letter in the New York Times, but you said there is no right to privacy. Not so fun when it's being done to you,
Exactly.
Eh? What a twat. And
If
in
the
just a few
shoe
decades,
fits.
Jesus Cristo, things are about to get weirder.
Oh.
Because by now, it's the 1960s.
Yeah,
Computers
let's
are rather
go.
massive, trousers are rather silly, and the Cold War is heating up. The US Department of Defense is interested
Cold
in
and heat
distributing
shouldn't be in the same
information
sentence.
across computers in case one link in the chain, let's say, breaks down a bit. Enter
Tiny bit.
ARPANET, the first
Not the
packet
music,
switch
though.
network and grandfather of the modern internet. And
Premiere.
the first message ever sent over ARPANET from UCLA to Stanford Research
was curious
Institute
about this the
was
other day.
supposed to be login. However, the system fell over after 2 letters, meaning the internet's
Low?
first message to the world was low. As in,
Let's
lo and
go.
behold, I have arrived, you fucks. First words don't get better than that. By 1971, the first email has been sent. By 1973, the first transatlantic connection is made. Then by
Hey.
1978, Robert Kahn and Vince Cerf have designed TCP/IP,
I don't like the close-ups
or
of the
Transmission
people.
Control Protocol, Internet Protocol. And if the
Hey.
internet talks in the language,
Internet.
this is it. By the 90s, Tim Berners-Lee has kindly invented the World Wide Web, the retrieval of information architecture the modern net is built on top of, making possible hypertext, hyperlinks, and the first website. You can still visit it today.
Hey.
And naturally comes the first webcam.
God, this stuff intrigues
It monitors
me.
a coffee machine at Cambridge University
History, I love it.
for some reason.
Okay.
1993, the
Why
first
not?
graphical web browser, Mosaic, and then the Moolah. Oh, the Moolah.
Oh, the lovely,
1994,
lovely
and
Moolah.
Amazon.com makes its
Oh,
first
yeah.
sales. One of them notably to Bulgaria for some books paid for in cash, which is sent over hidden inside a floppy disk so the customs inspectors won't steal it. Clever
Oh.
as ever. Obichante, Bulgaria. Then enter me and perhaps you. 90s
Me?
internet was
How old are
pretty
you?
weird. A
Oh,
patchwork
okay, yeah.
amalgamation of
That's ju-
misfiring search
Hey,
engines,
let's go.
god-awful site design,
I know the-
and if someone had the audacity to phone your house, all they got was the sound of the modem. It was fucking great. But stranger, while most technologists have been expecting a robotics revolution for the end of the century, what we got instead was a communications revolution. Clearly preferable since, yeah, the internet can't fetch your tea, but more importantly,
I mean,
you can't watch pornography on a robot. And
you-
really, this is just
Maybe.
one idiot's
It's
biased
getting
nostalgia
there.
for a simpler time. But not a few decades ago, the hope for what the internet could do
Let's
was
go.
limitless. Most
Is that hope?
societal issues
Hope is a
surely
doggy?
stemmed from a lack of information, and with all human knowledge at our fingertips, we would all eventually come to the same objective conclusions, emerge from division and ignorance, and draw together in peace as a unified digital
Oh-ho.
family. And that went so-so. Oh yeah, Utopia must be
Walk
just
that
over the
plank.
hill now, mate. I can almost see it. Oh no, that's just my dad's
Dude, I love how
OnlyFans
the music
account.
is still
Hey, Dad,
going with,
what
like,
a
the 70s
brave new
thing.
world we've built. Somehow
I can't
Brave
do
New
this
World in
anymore.
1984 at the exact same time. We were promised the end of history. We were promised ultimate truth. We're supposed to be
All
solving
the
world hunger
great
and
things
building
that
interstellar
humanity is
starships. What is Chungus?
done
I do not
because of the
understand.
internet.
What have we done to ourselves?
All
We've
great
broken
things.
epistemology itself, sacrificed truth in favor of mediated hyper-reality. And for what? For what? What
Hey,
the
some of these
fuck
are
is
very
Chungus?
mild, man. What is a chungus? And why did Warner Brothers just
Sorry,
copyright
we were
it?
supposed to be talking about privacy, weren't we?
Is it gonna be a skin
we're
in the
kind
game?
of boned right now, and to talk about that, we'll need a patronizingly simple history of privacy.
Go back
which
to the
we've
cat, I
sort
did
of
like
just
that
done,
part.
and some kind of beat, preferably a fat one. Yeah,
Oh.
that'll do. Hey, this is the panopticon. It's a prison design.
Yeah,
a guard
that'll
tower
do.
sits at the center.
God, I
the
love
guard
his
can see
humor,
all
man.
the inmates
I don't know
in
if
a
it's
helpful
dry or
360
what.
panorama. The twist
Hey, that
is
kinda
that
looks like the
prisoners
prison I
can't
was
see into the
worked at.
tower, and so never know when they're being watched. So they may as well assume they're always being watched. The
Yeah.
constant implication of surveillance.
You don't know if I was sleeping up there.
And what relevance could this have as a modern metaphor? We already know the governments are
Hey, I know
snooping
you.
in our digital
Everybody
lives
hates
with
you.
impunity. But it's not just states playing that game. We're now knee-deep in a technological moment the thinker Shoshana Zuboff calls surveillance capitalism. Or rather, turning the internet into a data mill for no fun and lots of profit. And it has the potential
It's getting
not just
there,
to
man,
corrupt
like
the future of the
ads-
internet,
ads in
but
general.
remove any possibility of digital privacy ever again.
Capitalism.
In the early 2000s, the dot-com bubble burst. This was a problem for Silicon
things.
Valley because no one quite knew how to monetize the internet yet, and that 17th personal
I'm
yacht
just
ain't
enjoying the
just gonna buy
sick beat.
itself. Google was clever. They noticed that courtesy of all the searches they were providing, they were sat on a massive buffet of data from and about their users. Lots of that
Yeah.
data could be used to optimize Google itself, but a huge amount was left over and incidental, which we may as well call behavioral surplus. This was simple stuff at first, like noticing if a
Drugs for
user
free.
makes a lot of typos, maybe that means they're in a hurry. Or if they're particularly diligent about apostrophes, maybe they're all bookish or whatever.
Bookish.
But in a stroke of Walter White levels of cunning,
Hey, Walter
Google
White.
realized they could use this
Oh.
leftover information to
might be
generate
bad.
predictive patterns about a user's moods and desires, and create absurdly well-targeted advertising.
There
and
it
great
is.
googly moogly.
Great
It worked.
googly moogly.
It made them rich
Great
beyond
Scott.
all imagining. And the best part is,
Yeah.
it's free. Users gave them their secrets for free in
Free.
searches. Now, at this point, no one is surprised that if in a moment of 3:30 a.m.
That's very
whiskey-induced
smart, though, like,
curiosity,
straight
one
up.
searches Willy Bigger How, you will be bombarded for the next 15
What?
years with adverts for questionable tonics and small weights on long strings. kinda weird, kinda annoying, but it's so much more
But it's
sinister
there,
than that.
and it's
because
you.
as Google branched out into media and email and navigation, the data
Hey.
points for behavioral surplus for its users' secrets grew and grew. The inner lives of Google's users became its primary resource, a fully automated data mill extracting highly specific details of a user's psychology and turning that into big bucks via advertising.
Let's go!
And of course, the more data you collect about users,
I was literally about to say that. The more you have,
you extract, the more behavioral correlations you can find, and the more efficient the game gets. If I know that you're trying to sell a wedding ring and hire a divorce lawyer, then I also know you're probably at that point in your life when some 95% vodka made from deck chairs could sound appealing. Just been for a run?
the lovely alcohol
Unrelatedly,
after
check
a
out these
breakup.
amazing shoes. Contemplating turning your life around? Would some deck chair vodka help? And other
Let's just go back to the
companies soon
vodka.
got in on behavioral surplus.
I'm surprised you didn't
too,
say that for the
because
running.
If you throw health trackers and digital thermostats and
vodka?
smart cars into the mix, all of them collecting buckets of personal data,
That
it's
is true,
possible to
man.
build an
You don't
even
really
more
think
accurate
about
model
how
of
much
your desires,
information they
or
actually
to sell
have
that
on you.
information to third parties.
Without
One's
needing to
commute
do
routes
anything.
and heart rate and sleep habits, all helpfully recorded and transmitted by the one object that will probably stay no more than a foot away from our bodies for
Yeah.
the rest of our
Not
lives.
2 feet.
Data one
I
thought was
win.
one's own. Data that are being sold on for staggering amounts of money, to the point that it is now an economy in itself. Brokers whose only job is to sell an entire profile of you. What
Okay,
you
but
eat,
how the
what
hell did
conditions
we
you
get to
suffer
this
from,
conclusion?
Voting habits, sexual orientation, your secrets.
Were we talking
your
about
secrets,
water knowing
these
your
obligate fucking
secrets?
carnivores.
Never mind. I
As
get it. I get
Shoshana
it.
Zuboff puts it, you take something from someone without their knowledge, claim you own it,
Oh.
and then use it to become unprecedentedly wealthy.
NFTs?
Or, you know, theft.
I don't think anybody still knows what the
but
hell's
is it really
going on with
theft
those
if
things.
It doesn't impact us on a day-to-day level. Yes. Yes.
Correct.
Yes!
Okay.
There's a fun adage that if the product is free, then you're the product. But here it's more like you're the raw material.
I'm gonna go
and
on the
there's
corner,
no such thing as
sell
too much
myself.
data to those who
Rude.
want it. Marital status, level of education, feelings regarding a recent game update, all of it is being fed into
I
the
see it,
system,
dudes.
decoding the black box of
I do
human
enjoy
desire
that.
itself,
Right now I'm a
which is being
cowboy.
cross-referenced against ever more honed personality models, not just to advertise, but to scare and seduce in advance to make that
You're
advertising
being
even more
used
effective.
for
BF
land
Skinner
development.
shit. Do you know what this is, son? This is the panopticon, constantly
Okay, you're
implied
starting to-
surveillance.
we gotta reel
And
him back
even
in somehow,
better,
man.
Surveillance is now being framed as
Going off the
just how
hinges.
things are on the internet. Just another mosquito on the digital beach. It's fine all of the time. And what else is in the
Great
teachers of
metaphor.
beaches and privacy breaches? Well, this is already
Mosquitoes
turning
be
into
tiny.
an informational hostage situation. Digital
Oh.
thermostats that will stop updating their software if you refuse to give the parent company your usage data. Apps that conveniently forget to mention by using them in
Thermostat
the
turns
first place
red.
you've tacitly
Skynet
agreed
mode
to pass on your
engaged.
blood sugar level or details of a menstrual cycle. How the fuck did we get here? It isn't that different to Abigail Roberson's situation.
How
100
did we
years
get
ago.
here?
The
I was
flower company
commenting
took
the
her physical
video.
likeness for profit. Behavioral surplus is the harvesting and commodification of our digital likenesses,
Oh,
our
bizarre.
data, our secrets for profit. And if one's response
Your
is
digital
well, if you have
impact.
nothing to hide, you have nothing to fear. Okay, sounds great, but upon uttering that, I hope you'll allow your bathroom door to be removed and to have
Nah.
live streaming thermal cameras installed
Watch me
in whichever
shit.
room of the house you undertake the majority of your sexy times.
Right in that
because
bowl.
Nothing to hide, nothing to fear, right? Privacy isn't about having somewhere to do drug deals.
Oh.
It's a basic tenet of modern
Drugs are
human
bad,
living.
okay.
It is the right to be let alone, and we've only just codified it, and we may already be about to lose it. If
Oh.
companies can infer that we're
Wait a minute.
bereaved, or pregnant, or introverted, or just going through one of the many thousands of life crises humans enjoy during their time
I'll
as
have
sentient
what
meat,
you're
well,
having, my man.
simultaneously, we know basically
Pants and
nothing
everything.
about how these companies are collecting and using our data. That is an egregious asymmetry. A
kinda
full-wave
scary.
rectified data extraction panopticon with the sole purpose of
But don't go
commodifying
too
our
overboard with
psychology,
it. It's
of
not
commodifying our
that
secrets.
creepy.
Now, one obvious solution to this is the restating of one's
just how they
data
make the
as one's
muns, you know?
personal property. The problem with that is that personal property can be sold, can become a commodity, and your privacy and your data are no more a commodity than your right to free association or oxygen. Plus, behavioral surplus
Oh, yeah,
isn't
what if
just
they
about
charge
an individual's
oxygen? Can
data,
you
it's
imagine
about
that?
the data of groups and demographics, and things that can't be personally owned but are terribly useful as data points. But whatever the solution, if we want to steer history away from this waterfall,
Oh,
it's
big
going to take
waterfall.
months of getting pissed off. And if we don't do something about this, constantly harvesting
you're gonna
more
get
and more
pissed, okay?
behavioral
It's gonna
surplus
happen.
to keep the great data mill going will just be what the internet is, because that's how the next generations will grow up with it. Because the model is already a massive part of the digital economy, later it will be the predominant model, and later will be too late. We get to decide now whether this was just a historical blip like the
Kraken.
rubber barons of the Gilded Age,
Oh,
or the
Standard
shape
Oil.
of things to come,
Evil Kraken.
effectively killing privacy forever.
Oh.
The big brother of surveillance has a
What
little
is happening, my
brother
man?
called surveillance.
I
Rather than being
surveillance?
surveilled from the top down, citizens watch from the bottom up.
that a
Dashboard
bobcat?
cameras, for example, rebalancing the symmetry of secrets by watching the watchers.
Oh, so
And
it's kinda
maybe
like the
best
POV
fictional
shot.
extreme
I
of this
got you.
ever written is a sci-fi novel called The Light of Other Days. And I'm going to spoil it for you now, since
Oh.
clearly you have nowhere better to be. And secondly, because fuck
You got me.
Sometime in the nearest future, a company
I was
cracks
agreeing to
wormholes.
you,
Only
with you.
the wormholes are too small to send anything through, too small to see even, but you can peek inside. So you can open a wormhole anywhere on the planet and spy on anyone on the planet without them knowing. And of course, one of the main uses immediately becomes surveilling those more powerful, watching the back rooms of governments and corporations, which makes corruption very difficult.
Check out what
Then
that
things get
1%'s
rather
doing.
strange when some genius realizes if you put a time delay on the thing, you can see back into the past, anytime, anywhere. You can't influence the past because the plot says
you
so,
could
but you can watch
observe it.
anything that ever
Oh,
happened.
interesting.
Things do not go well. Mass outcry, suicides, every terrible thing you've ever said is now immediately available in 4K. People watch their own conceptions. It gets weird, but the next generations to grow up are
Why
a bit
would you
more
wanna
relaxed
watch your
about it all,
parents get
because
jiggy
the
with it?
wormhole technology
No, thank
is
you.
everywhere. They dress functionally and for fashion rather than modesty. Because
see the people
why
that wear
cover
people
anything
for
everyone
fashion?
has seen already?
It's crazy, man.
They have no concept of personal privacy, but as a consolation, they also have no concept of being surveilled by powerful eyes
is that an
unseen,
angel?
because the watchers can always be watched. They've replaced the panopticon with many panopticons, 8 billion of them. Everyone is a watcher. The story ends with finding out human life was seeded by sentient insectoids, bit left field, but ultimately the wormholes become a very strange way of rebalancing the
Even
asymmetry
he
of
said it was a bit
secrets
left
by
field.
abolishing
That's saying
all
something.
secrets. And it isn't that much of a stretch to imagine we might face a similar conundrum sometime soon. The smallest camera ever
That is
made
very
weighs a gram
interesting.
and is about the size of a grain of sand. The
Yeah, I was
resolution
gonna
is
say
great,
grain of
200
rice,
by
but-
200 pixels, but that's enough to do some decent spying, and it's
Yeah?
not like the resolution won't get better. And it's not like this won't soon extend
Oh.
to drones, perhaps the size of gnats.
I heard
with
about
full
those.
Audio and video capture.
Not that exact
and
thing,
it's not
but
like they won't
insect-type
be mass manufactured
drones.
and purchasable. Combine that with ever-increasing data storage. Combine that
Oh,
with
bizarre,
whatever
man.
brain-machine
So bizarre.
interfaces the next generations will be messing around with. It's not hard to imagine we might build a different kind of panopticon. One in which it's taken for granted that you're probably being watched, that everything you've ever said and done has been recorded and can be accessed
Well, I
by
mean, with
anyone
me,
at any
yes, it
time, and
literally
that you
has
can do
been
the same
recorded.
at any time to everyone you
Not
know.
everything
A
I've said, but
participatory
majority.
panopticon. Now, that sounds horrible,
love it.
obviously, like one long episode of Bling Empire. There will be no escape from every stupid
Love the
slip of
visuals, not
tongue
what he's
20
saying,
years
mind
ago,
you.
potentially from every
Right, when he says
invasive
it sounds
thought.
terrible,
But
I'm
the
like,
benefit,
lovely.
Of course, is that unless the powerful had invisibility cloaks or lived in Faraday cages, they would have to play the game
That
too.
is
No one
true.
would be
That's something you have to
exempt
think
from the
about.
participatory
If
panopticon.
every secret's
It's
out
very
there, yeah,
strange
yours
kind of
is, but
fair,
so
a
is
lot
the
more
people
fair than the current mill
that you
of
wanna know about,
asymmetrical
you know?
secrets we live in at the moment. I don't know,
So it's
man.
everybody's
the road
game.
to hell is paved with good inventions.
Yeah.
When it comes to panopticons, none is better than one, but one
There's
is
a,
a lot worse
but
than 8
to
billion.
everything,
If
you know?
technology is going to semi-break privacy anyway, maybe better that it be on our own terms. 500 years ago, there was no way
Okay.
Gutenberg could have known just how game-changing his printing press would be. Likewise,
That
there's
is
no way we can even
true.
guess at what the internet's great-great-grandchild will look like 500 years from now. Digital
that's a
telepathy,
modem, that would be
disembodied human
amazing.
consciousness itself, who knows? But as all inventions do, it will bear the hallmarks of whatever bad habits its parents taught it when it was little. And we are teaching it some very, very bad habits.
That's another thing to
and
think
whatever
about.
it grows up into, it will be us who shaped that, who hopefully
God.
taught it that knowledge is power, but spying from ivory towers is rude. Which
And
means
that.
it'll also be us who
POV
determine
shots.
the digital
POV
landscape
shots for
our
everybody.
descendants grow up in. And whether or not that landscape is an equitable meadow or a digitized Victorian mill. Whether enchanted water
Yeah, it really
flows
makes you think,
unobstructed
man.
through the city. Listening to us, yes, but impartially. And
Hey, going back to
replying
the
when
stuff.
asked to convey not only visions of other possible cities and other possible worlds, but showing ourselves to ourselves. Whether that
Uh-huh.
water runs unobstructed through the streets.
Not a lot of
bringing
people like
edification
what
and
they see when they
information,
see
reporting
themselves.
Of the distant hopeful and fabulous strange.
It's usually
Whether
the people
water
that
flows down to the estuary
mean to
and
others.
sustains those towering, assiduous trees of knowledge we grow over our heads. one great forest network across the refulgent world, talking in all languages of all things for all time.
Let's
Such
go,
that if
man.
interstellar visitors arrived 100 years from now and looked down upon the world
It's a
and the
possibility.
enchanted water and the forest we have built, that the forest might be so wise
That's
and mighty
dope.
they'd mistake the forest for the true steward of the planet. And in many ways, considering how difficult it was to build and how much it gave us in return for building it, it very well might be. Or whether instead the water is dammed and the estuary
Oh.
drained and wet fog
Okay.
is all that remains of it.
We have to
Fog
end-
that waits with
end here,
insidious
huh?
ubiquity in every spot of the
We
house
couldn't
and
stay
mind
positive.
one might once have attempted to go and be alone in. Whether that fog is engineered to no longer speak to us of distant places or possible futures, but
Oh,
only
man.
forever listens with a single
It's
omnipresent
very-
ear to our most
two
private hopes
very
and
extremes.
phobias. Whether the operation becomes so efficient that of a dim evening one can step outside into the grey twilight and look out to the roads which one knows beneath stream all of one's secrets, to look skyward and know one's secrets are being dispatched to ingenious silver birds overhead, whereupon they're blown like pollen across the entire globe.
I
and
don't
finally
know.
received and
Like I said, it's
consolidated
like
into perfectly ordered data
you have a
sets
bunch
in
of this,
far-flung
but
and
you
enormous
also have
halls,
this,
where
you
there
know?
resides
It's that
a
way for
great
both
kraken,
options.
A kraken who does not sleep, who does not tire, and is never full.
back to the
A
kraken.
kraken who listens
Ye
of all
old
the
kraken.
dreams and
He
secrets
told me to
of all
F
those
off.
who live in the fog, and lovingly utilizes those dreams and secrets for the production of ever more opulent trinkets and wares.
crazy,
A
man.
kraken so
Score at the
saturated
end
in
of this as
secrets
well.
that it considers the currents of the human
Really
heart
driving
and mind
home.
no less manipulable than the diverting of a stream or tilling of a field. A kraken that knows full well if enchanted water only listens,
I love
then
going
that
back to these
isn't an
visuals.
enchantment. That's a curse. That
Okay.
is a fucking hex. Oh yeah, let's hex the
Hex.
water. That's a
Hex
great
the water,
idea.
he
The
said it.
total confiscation of privacy via corporate
I
surveillance.
was wondering
The
how this would tie
usurping
into
of human
anything he
psychology
said.
via operant conditioning. The great end of history, purchased and delivered at the soonest convenience. Whatever you want, whatever you didn't even know you wanted.
Keep
the only price being
going.
standing epistemically naked before digital gods who remain forever
Digital
shrouded.
gods.
And the
Oh,
most
man.
diabolical part of it all,
He has
we
such
built
a way with
cage for
words,
ourselves, not even from some
unironically.
Orwellian will to control, not even from some stupid fear of the other, or terror in face of our own natures, but simply to make a buck. To make a buck.
Wow.
Normally, I would love to play you out with some Carl Sagan rip-off rant about how humans are great and wow, space is really big, etc. But we could screw ourselves over so royally with this stuff, to the point that the recovery of human dignity becomes impossible, that it might be best not to end this one with any false optimism. So,
Oh.
hope you're doing tip-top. Boy.
Oh boy. Oh, he really drove that home, didn't he? So, alright, that was really crazy, man. That really makes you think. And it's like, I think he did address it in the video, you know? It's like, where did it go? Like, how did it get to where it is now? Like, the surveillance and stuff. And moving forward, like, he made a really good point. How it's like, okay, well, if everybody is under surveillance, like the POV version, not like, you know, like top down, as he said, like not that way, but if everybody was like a POV shot of what was happening, then if every single person was involved in it, you know, it would be for the greater good, you know? But like, we have to have that, like I'm assuming like we're talking about America, because like I know a lot of people like in England and stuff like that, they have a CCTV, whatever that's called. Like, I know they have cameras and stuff everywhere, and like America doesn't really have that in homes and stuff. You could have personal surveillance cameras, but like I'm getting off topic with this. But like, where will the line stop? You know, to where like every single person, and I don't know if like my opinion about it, like right now after viewing this and stuff, I think that's a good thing. Like of course he said like, oh, you only agree with that if you have nothing to hide, blah 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 and stuff like that, but like in all honesty, like I will take my public, I guess it would be public, you know, like my private information turned public. Like I would rather have that to where every single person is in the same boat, you know, like everyone has that same thing going on with them, you know, like it's so like, yeah, I don't want to ramble too much too much about this and stuff, but like this video really awesome. It's getting a little long, so I'm gonna end it here, but like fantastic stuff all around. Exherbia, really awesome stuff. It kind of sucks that he didn't end it like optimistic like he usually does, but I get, like he said, it's a very serious topic and we should really address it. But I don't know. I'm kind of still on the fence. I kind of established what I was going to talk about, but I don't know. I'm really puzzled on this one. It's really made me think. So thank you everybody so much for watching. Leave a like down below, subscribe, ring the bell, become a member. You get videos a day early, and check out the merch. So with that said, I have been Master Zero. Y'all guys have been fantastic, and I'll see y'all in the next episode. Later days.